Hello and welcome. Today we bring you back Professor Salim Surani, one of the practitioners in Texas who does pulmonary critical care medicine as well. And he was kind enough to share his experience last time. It was 5 weeks ago. Dr. Surani, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. We understand that you're really busy, but you're coming on our channel and sharing your experience as well as the progress has been done in last 5 weeks. And we realize that we still in middle of the pandemic when we had you 5 weeks ago, they were like roughly 2.4 million cases worldwide. And now if we just quickly share the screen with our viewers, it's looked like that the numbers have really gone up. This just shows the total number of cases in America at this point, but these numbers are really gone up. They are close to be 6 million cases now. So could you please share with us what is your experience and what we have learned so far as a healthcare community in last 5-6 weeks uh, from the medical treatment as well as scientific standpoint?
Thank you, Dr. Kashyap. Nice to be here again. It's almost 5 weeks ago, we actually visited with the numbers, and we felt like we knew that the numbers are going to go high, mortality is going to go high. But that was a time when the world was going into a lockdown and social distancing. And we were hoping that, we may not see as much number of the death as we experienced. So far, we look at it, we have gone more than 6 million people worldwide have been infected. More than 370,000 people have died worldwide. In US, which is again the epicenter of everything, it started from Wuhan, China, and then it went to Italy. But then when it came to US, it just took the uh, country with the fire. And right now, we have almost 1.8 million plus cases in US, and more than 105,000 people have died. We had, when we started the lockdown, and it was going on very effectively with the physical distancing and hand washing and disinfecting the surfaces, and then cloth barrier for the public, we felt that the mortality was bring down to 66,000. And we felt like, okay, that's a lot of people dying. Our heart goes out to the family. But then what happened is that the mortality keep on increasing again and again. And now we have reached 105,000. So I think, we can talk about several developments which has happened in last 5 weeks, starting from treatment, what therapies we were thinking in the past, what new therapies were coming. We thought about vaccine, where we are with the vaccination, what is happening globally, because at that time we had only few countries. We had China started, and then we had a South Korea, which kind of subsided. Then we had a Italy, which is kind of going away. US came in, and then the European nation came in. And now the whole global area worldwide, whether you take the Asia, Central Asia, Africa, those are all coming into the places. And again, the challenge is we don't know the real numbers there. Then we can talk about what is happening, what is the impact of happening, opening up the economy back again, people are going back to work, and what about the second wave and third wave? So in other words, we have a lot of things to talk. It's like evolving. It seemed like it's only 5 weeks since we talked, but it seemed like the amount of the data which has come out is like what we have seen it in 10 years. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of publications we have come in, and people were in a rush of getting the paper out. The journals were trying to be the first in line. They were trying to publish everything. So let's talk about the treatment. It was like hydroxychloroquine and zithromax was the in thing, and it was promoted by everyone. It was the cheapest drug. It was available in the market. We had a lot of supplies for hydroxychloroquine, and everyone was trying to get their hands on it. But then, we realized as the data started coming out that the hydroxychloroquine was not showing much improvement or benefit. Just the initial anecdotal observance study was showing that, but there were a lot of confounders, as you and I know. And then the Brazilian study came out, and then there was another paper which came out in Lancet with 96,000 patients who have been treated with hydroxychloroquine, and they showed no benefit. But again, the thing is, side effects were too much. It's still, people are rooting for it, touting for it. Seem like more politics than the science is being played around. The data is data, and I think the science always prevails in the end. Then what are the other treatments we look into? We look at the remdesivir, which was a drug which was started in the treatment. for the Ebola, and then that was used. Initial data was good. And then there was another preliminary data which were coming out by the company, and they felt that maybe, it is not as effective as we think. And then the NIH study came out with a more than 1,000 patient, and what they found was it definitely decreases the mortality. And when they look into the data, it was not powered for mortality difference, but it was 0.06. So there was a very strong signal going in that direction. So that became the drug which was coming in play, and the company started producing, the distribution started going on, and a lot of the things were making play. The thing is that even though that thing came into controversy because they felt that the data was so strong, how we can avoid or divide the patient of the people who are in the control arm not getting the medicine. So that actually convoluted the study much, because that study was stopped, and so as to not deprive the folks who are in the control arm of the benefit of the drug. Then what are the other drugs coming in? Then come a very nice study in Lancet where they use a kind of a combination of therapy. What they had a lipitonavir and ritonavir, which is an antiviral drug. They use a ribavirin, and they use a beta gamma interferon. That was actually the first prospective randomized double-blind controlled study, which actually shows a significant improvement in the triple therapy, and that decreases the viral load and decreases the disease severity. So that came into a place. Then if you look at the Russia and some of the other Australian companies, they have actually a country, they have gone into something which is a JAK kinase inhibitor or JAK inhibitor, like brecitinib and monoclonal antibody. They started using it, and there is some promising data coming in. So in other words, there has been pretty much every single medicine and every single drugs which you can see people have started using. Then came the thing is like in between convalescent plasma. That is a very old technique that anytime patient gets infected, they develop the antibody. When they recover, their body will have the antibody. If we can take their plasma out, give it to the patient who's infected, and they get the antibody, and that can help to fight the virus. So the convalescent plasma came into a being, and they started doing a very, very, rapidly gone all over the globe. And it was an easy therapy for the developing country like India and Pakistan and Afghanistan and all the other countries. They jump into the bandwagon because they did not have to spend too much expensive therapies. They can get the plasma, and then they can give it to that. Mayo Clinic also started a major trial with more than 200 centers, and they all started giving the plasma. They showed some promising evidence, but again, you got to realize it was not a blinded study. So everyone who got it, they got a plasma. So there is, in other words, you also have to look at the confounders. They got some other medication that they may have got remdesivir. They may have also got the interleukin inhibitor like teclistamab, or they may have got some other therapy like vitamin C, steroid, anticoagulation, name the therapy, they came into that. So that comes into the place. And then the ventilator management actually shifted the gear. And we talk about briefly that the anticoagulation was playing a path because of the microemboli. Now they realize beside the microemboli, they also have a macroemboli. So the anticoagulation has now become a part of the therapy. So now the question really comes in is that, is it just only the plasma? Is it the anticoagulation playing the role, or what about the other confounders? And when they're looking at it, they're looking at the mortality for 7 days or 14 days rather than 28 days mortality. Would that mortality be different if we look into it a global mortality rather than just 1 week survival? Because we know that a lot of the patients who are on ventilator on ART, they are living for more than 7 days. Now coming to the thing is that was on the treatment side. What about prevention side?
So one thing I just want to interject to our viewers that we are not here to endorse or rebuke any therapy or management for that matter. Our goal is to provide you in real time, Dr. Surani's and our mind, to what the literature says and what has happened so far. Please use your clinical judgment if you're watching it, and then review literature by yourself. We are trying to provide you a knowledgeable summary of current literature and practice, and Dr. Surani and I will not be responsible for any decision made around that. So just for our viewers to keep in mind.
Absolutely true, because one of the thing is the literature is changing. What we said that it was working, actually we are saying it's not working. What we say today may be working, tomorrow it may not be working because there's so many papers. So that is a very, very true statement. Vaccination, another area. There's more than 15, 20 trials of vaccination coming out. There's more than 60 to 80 companies that are working on the vaccine. Whether we take the vaccine pathway, some of them are working on the BCG-based vaccine. The company like in Oxford and the AstraZeneca and UK, they're working on the adenovirus-based vaccine. So they try to do some genetic modification, which cause the flu-like symptoms in the chimpanzee, and then they try to go ahead and inject into the healthy volunteer and see if they form the antibody. And then NIH and the Moderna lab in the US are also working on the what we call as a messenger-based RNA vaccine. So the vaccine development is going in at a full throttle. People have started doing phase 1 and phase 2 combined, which is unheard of. So there has been a good success both with the Oxford-based vaccine, the Moderna-based vaccine, and that has shown some initial promising. The challenge would be is that when you go into the phase 3 trial, you need to have a lot of active disease patients. So when you give it to the healthy volunteer, when they get exposed to the disease, then they can build the immunity or not. That way you will, or they can, get the benefit and efficacy and safety. But on the other hand, with
Yep.
the declining number of the case, the Oxford group dropped down their prediction for success from 80% to 50%. That becomes a challenge. US Moderna base, they were thinking they will come by with the real trial and all those things by 2024. They have projected that they are going to go much earlier. Goal is still to come some sort of vaccine by the end of the year, at least for the emergency usage on the frontline workers and maybe high-risk population. The other thing is, which is very interesting, which is in the development, is people have started developing vaccine and distribution side by side even before the vaccine is out. So the Oxford have gone with the AstraZeneca, and they are actually kind of production and distribution arm, and they are actually going in for no for profit. So this is what they're also going to do, that they will just go on a cost basis. And the Oxford group, if they come out, they will actually give the vaccine with no royalty and free of the charge. So I think there's a lot of humanity coming out, what we are seeing.
Totally agree. And I think looking like from the trends, look like that the Brazil, India, and Russia are going to be in more patients with the disease in upcoming months, especially June and July as well. So this is those are times where scientists are working really hard to see if they can find some sort of vaccine to help out. These are three populous countries, and then the numbers will still likely to go high in next several months. You started talking about ventilator management, Professor Surani. So any insight on that part in last 5 weeks?
I think people who have gone into early intubation, like in China and Italy and early part of the New York, they have had a very high mortality. Now the trend is that go with the anticoagulation, because hit on the pathway, intubate the patient when you need to, rather than just intubating very, very early. You don't want to wait till they code and intubate. So your intubation indication remains the same with or without COVID. So I think that has been very successful. In Texas, our mortality has been much lower compared to what we have seen in the New York. Considering we still have a lot of folks who have been infected, the mortality percentage has been very, very low. And so is with the other states. So I think, that has been some change in the management. The other thing you were just mentioning, that the India and the Brazil, all those are coming in. That's brings us to what is happening on a global level. So while the number of the patients and are kind of curve is flattening down and plateau is coming down in the US, the global is very different. We have seen a starting of emergence of the cases in Brazil, which is just going like a wildfire. We actually have started seeing some in Asia and Africa. And a lot of those cases, again, maybe we are seeing a tip of the iceberg, because there is a lot of challenge in diagnosing, and even there are not much testing available. So we don't even know what is happening. Are we relying on the herd immunity over there? Sweden tried that model, but they had everything open, but they had, at the end of the day, they had a little higher mortality, and only 7% of the population got infected with a positive antibody. So the question is that would it be good strategy? Because to get a herd immunity either by the vaccination or by getting immunity based on infection and developing antibody, you should have around 70% of the population infected. I just saw a recent, just few hours ago, thing coming out for the healthcare worker in Pakistan, where they say that they did a random antibody testing and almost 17% of the healthcare worker turn out to be positive. That's a very high number which we have seen. So again, what we are seeing is like a bits and pieces from the developing country, and that can be a very challenging. And once we are now opening our economy out and easing the restrictions, and once the global travel ease out, I think a lot of those challenges can come in, and that will sag away is what's going to happen with the second wave.
No, absolutely. Very informative. So if you want to give a summary of a major 3-4 points from this talk, what would be those 3 points, Dr. Surani, 3 or 4 points?
Number one, follow the public health measure, keep a safe distance, wash your hands regularly, disinfect the surface, wear the clothes face covering. That will be your best defense. Your best defense, again, is prevention is your best defense. Second thing is, um, keep on watching. We are not there to find none of the medicine which we are showing or showed the improvement. It is not the cure. So a lot of the people think that, oh, this medicine is available, that's the cure. Answer is not the cure. Third thing is vaccine. There is promising results that's coming in, but again, it would be not before you get the second wave. The fourth thing is, it's not the question if the second wave is going to come. It is not if, it is when. And if you look at the data from Spanish flu, H1N1, the second wave had the higher mortality and caused more havoc and more damages than the first wave. So that is, we have to be worried. We are actually already stressed out, both economically, financially, and by the first wave. So it is up to us that nothing is going to be working more effectively than we try to make sure that we protect ourselves, our family members, our neighbor, and our community. And if everyone practices some of those basic principles, that will go a long way in prevention till the time we get an adequate vaccine.
Very well said. It's said, but it is very true that we should prepare ourselves for the second peak in first wave, second wave, and subsequent waves as well. So the basic principle doesn't go away of hand washing, social distancing, and caring for each other. And we'll do a shameless plug of collecting data during this time will definitely help us learn about it, so we can be more prepared for our subsequent peaks and waves as well. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was very informative. We'll bring you back again and learn from you to see what is happening at the front line, and some more literature coming in. Really appreciate your time, Dr. Surani. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Likewise.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment section. What are the topics you want? We really appreciate your support while watching these videos.